Okay, so in this video I will show you how to create a new file, assuming that you have installed Working Papers and installed Audit International. Those are two separate installers, so that's sometimes not that clear for our users. So you should have received two separate download links and installed them both on your computer. Now, first thing I'm doing here is launching Caseware Working Papers, and it will take you right away into the opening screen, the home screen of Caseware Working Papers. And now the only thing that I need to do is create a new file. Oh, by the way, maybe it's good to check here. Click on Templates. It should say Audit International if you have installed the Audit International template. So if you miss that step and nothing is showing up here, then get in touch with us and we can help you with that. Okay, so I'm just going to create a new file by clicking on New, and the thing that I can do here is enter the name for my engagement file. So I'm just going to say Audit 17 demo file, but of course usually this would be the name of your client. You can also use a client code, and some of our users actually also use the year-end date, or sorry, the financial year. So it could be 2014, 2015, because you will create one engagement file per audit. So it's not one file per client, but each year that you do an audit, you will create one engagement file. Okay, little tip there. So then I'm just selecting Audit International because I want to base this file on Audit International. I have some other options, but I'm just going to use the create file right now. So you see it's now copying. This is what I explained in the introduction about what we call a template. For us, the template is a template engagement file. So it has not one document like what you might expect from Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel. It actually has many documents. And what has happened that because we've extended the content so much in Audit International, the template has become quite extensive. So I think right now there's around 300 documents or something in the whole template. So the whole template is quite extensive. In order to create an engagement file that really suits what you're looking for this particular audit, we've introduced this dialog here, which we call engagement profiles or profiles. So starting with that template that has everything in it, let's say all 300 documents, by selecting the profile, you will limit the documents that are in your engagement file. You will already narrow it down or pare your file down to, I don't know, let's say from 300 to 200, the 200 files that you really need in your engagement file. So this is through the profiles, we can now have all the forms, all the documents that you might potentially need for any obscure situation in the template, but the engagement file that you're creating only has the documents that are relevant for this particular client. Out of the box, Audit International comes with 6 profiles. The first 2 are kind of for some markets where ISAs have not yet been introduced. So we have some users that only want to use, let's say, the work programs, or in basic you only use the work programs and the materiality and the financial statement worksheet. So that's why we keep those profiles in, but as the description here says, those are not really ISA compliant. It's not a full audit as described in ISAs. Then we have 2 profiles that are both called OneForm and OneForm Plus, or both OneForm and OneForm Plus. And those profiles are based around the OneForm memo document. So with OneForm, you can you get one memo in which you document most of your planning and your risk response in a free-form narrative. So instead of ticking boxes in a checklist, you just go in and you have more freedom to write your narrative and write what you know about this client. It also is a trigger to do more of a thinking audit instead of a checking the box audit. The difference between OneForm and OneForm Plus is the documentation of risks. OneForm, the regular OneForm, we expect you to document risks in a narrative as well. With OneForm Plus, you not only get the OneForm document, but you also get the risk dialog in which you can document your specific risks or the risks specific for your client. Then for the really extensive engagements, so this could include international, transnational group engagements, we have a profile called Tailor per Engagement, which means that as the starting point you get all the documents that are in the template, but then you get a more detailed checklist. We call it an optimizer checklist that will guide you through step by step, and by answering a couple of questions you will only keep those documents relevant for your engagement. I'm going to use the middle one, the core profile, which we think is more suitable for medium-sized engagements. The core profile will include risks, but also expect you to do controls work. So, of course, these profiles are still a starting point, a suggestion. So, after you've picked one profile, you still have all the freedom within the file to delete documents, to add documents from the library. It's all very flexible. That is, if your security permissions allow you to do that. So firms that don't really like it that much, that it's so open, you can narrow down, make it more rigid by setting up security profiles, user profiles, and limit some of the options that users have. Finally, if you want more detail on what actually is in those profiles, you can just click this link and it will take you to our help and explain what's in the profile. Oh yeah, one more thing that's really important. Sorry, I keep forgetting some things. Profiles are part of what we call the template settings, the global template settings, and these can be modified at the firm level. So if you as a firm are not really happy with minimal and basic, you can just not show those in your profiles dialog, which means your users cannot pick those profiles. If you would like to create more profiles, you can do that up to a maximum of 10. So there's a huge amount of flexibility there. If you are a member firm that's part of an international network, your network might have provided you with a separate installer that has settings for the profiles, and then those are profiles that are designed, created by the network to which of which you are a member. Okay, that's a whole lot of introduction on just one dialog. I'm just going to pick core and then click OK. Now what you will now see is that Working Papers is doing some work. It's actually, oh, and I got one dialog that's in the wrong area. Sorry, let me bring that up here. It's on a different screen. Working Papers now started to delete the documents that were not relevant, that were not part of that profile. And the next step is that it launches the optimizer checklist. Now with the optimizer checklist, you can pare down your file even more, but then it's more granular, it's more detailed. So you start with the big template. Let me see, big template. Then with the profile, you already get a subset of documents. And then by answering these optimizer questions, more documents will be deleted. So the goal is that you really keep an engagement file with the files that are really relevant for your specific client. Okay, so let's have a look. At the top of this document, you can see document guidance. If I don't want to see that, I can just go to options and switch it off. And let's just go through these questions. First one, is this entity a company? And then here in blue, you will see the explanation that if I say yes, form number 200.101 will be included, and form number 200.102 will be marked for deletion. So the other option is you either are an entity or you are a partnership. So I'm going to say yes, this is an entity, and sign off that question. Condensed audit forms are appropriate for this engagement. I'm going to say no, because I would like to show you the full forms. Just a little explanation there, because we get some questions from our clients. there are some forms that come in two shapes. Well, no, there's let me use an example. You have client acceptance. We have the regular form. We call it it's marked as core, and we have a condensed version of that same form. Both forms cover the same scope, or have the same scope, so they both are, if you want to call it that way, ISO compliant. It's just that the full form gives you more details. Make sure you consider this, more guidance on what to consider. And the condensed form gives you only bullet points, but then only one question. So it's a bit more efficient. We have a very mixed usage. Some firms really like the condensed form because they're a bit more efficient. Other firms like the full forms a lot better because they provide more guidance. So I would advise you to just sit down, look at the template once, compare those forms, and see which forms you want to use for your within your firm. And once you've made that decision, you can either instruct your users to always say yes or no to this question, or you could actually create a separate profile that only has the condensed or only has the full forms. So I will probably be saying that a couple of times during this video. Audit has been designed to be extremely flexible. So of course, when you just get it out of the box, you just download it, you install it, it should work. And it gives you a fine audit methodology, let's say. But almost everything is flexible and can be customized at the firm level. It will require some more work, but you can really tailor it down to how you feel you should do an audit in your specific country. We've built up so much experience that we now know that things are different from one country to the other. You might have to deal with local peer reviewers. So that's why we give you all these options to really tweak it, customize it so that it works for you. If you plan to customize your template, and I would really suggest that because you get more out of the software, I would also advise to take a couple of hours of training at least, just to make sure that you get the process of customization right. It would be a shame you spend a lot of time and then you lose your changes because some mistake or something. Okay, sorry about that. I'm explaining a lot. Let's go on. Question number 3, is this a continuance of an audit engagement, yes or no? I'm going to say yes, which means that my checklist for a new engagement will be deleted, and I only keep the checklist for the continuance of an audit engagement. So it's a little bit smaller, it's a little bit easier. Okay, now I think basically all those questions, I think you get the idea. You can just get a demo from us, read all the questions. So it's either that documents are deleted from your engagement file because they're not required, or, and I'm gonna scroll a little bit further here, it could be that specific procedures are deleted from your work programs. So I think this is a nice example here. Transactions between component entities and or related parties. If I say yes, then I will have in each work program some procedures related to related parties. If I say no, then those procedures will be deleted by the optimizer. Same for this one, the entity conducts business in another currency. And these are actually quite efficient to go through, because by saying no, it will delete the procedure for foreign exchange from payables, receivables, cash. So by saying no to one procedure, you actually delete multiple procedures, which in turn makes your work program smaller, easier to work with, and more focused on the really critical things. Okay, so I'm just gonna quickly finish this, say no to everything. Okay, and then at the end, when I'm done, I go to my conclusion and I have to click this button, and which will take me to the Audit Optimizer confirmation report. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just messing around with my second screen. I saw a little dialogue, you didn't see that here, that it was processing my questions, and now the Optimizer confirmation report suggests to delete these documents from my file. I have to click OK, proceed with deletion. And what you will see now, first you get a warning that there's no undo. But actually, if you think you've made a mistake or if you feel you want to change it, all the documents are still available in document library in a template. So at every point in time, you can drag documents from the document library into your engagement file. So this is just that there's no automatic undo and all your documents magically reappear. After clicking OK, proceed with deletion, you might notice here that now we add a bit of AutoTrail. So it now shows that this person, my initials, on this date has made these decisions, and therefore these documents are deleted from the engagement file. Not sure if you really want to review in that much detail, but with both the profile selection and the audit optimizer checklist, we would now track what are the changes, which documents have been deleted from the template. Another reason why we went with this approach, although all the documents can be deleted manually from the caseware engagement file, is that we found that if a document is in the engagement file, users usually are a bit scared to delete it. They have this, because it's there, they feel they have to complete it, even though something might be completely irrelevant. So what happened is that many of our users ended up actually kind of over auditing, going through more documents than really relevant, just because they were not sure if it could be deleted or not. So with the optimizer, we've done some thinking for you. So just by filling out these questions, these documents will be deleted. Again, this is also something that you at the firm level can extend and customize. So if you have some strong technical people, they can make the decisions and they can just give that to the user and say, okay, if you just follow these steps, make these decisions, then you're okay. And then that takes away some of the responsibility from your probably more junior team members. They can just go through the questions, check the boxes, and based on that, they will then end up with a more tailored, a smaller engagement file. So I think it kind of goes both ways. When I'm done, when I've completed my Audit Optimizer confirmation report, I can just click my home button here, which will take me back to the workflow panel. But because this is a newly created file, I first now get my engagement property dialog, and I need to fill out my engagement properties. So I'm just going to keep this on 2014, even though probably if you use it, you will probably use it for 2015 audits. Well, I'm just going to keep it like this for now. I can go here to my name and address and say for my operating name, this is my audit 17 demo client. If you want to fill out more, of course you can do that as well. This would be the minimal that I would just record. Another important little thing here in my engagement properties is I'm not going to go into too much detail, but some of you probably work with an interim audit or an interim trial balance that you import, let's say at the end of September. I've seen this talking to a couple of clients. So what you can actually do is set up different periods. So you could do monthly, 13 periods, quarterly, but you can also set up a random period. And with that, you could create one period that goes from 1st of January until the end of September, and a second period that goes from the 1st of October until the end of December, which would allow you to import two trial balances at two different points in time, compare the two with each other, see the differences, etc. And then you could use your interim trial balance to do your planning. I know that's a very common use case amongst some of our clients. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to go into too much detail. So again, if you would like to know more about that, send us an email, get in touch with us, and we can provide you with the documentation, or at least show you where to find it. Okay, that's good. I'm just going to click OK, and then it takes me to the workflow dashboard. Well, actually, this is the engagement setup dashboard. So we really want to help you get up and started. So here you see, sorry, the first steps that you would have to complete. we're going to go through it in the video. So I'm just going to click here on my workflow tab. That's now loading up the audit workflow. And this is the way you can navigate your audit engagement. At least this is the clearest from an audit point of view. So what you see here is the planning and risk assessment, the risk response, and the completion and reporting. And the idea is that you go through these steps, these columns top to bottom, and whenever you click one box, it opens a little box with only those documents relevant for that particular step. So this is my client acceptance, only the documents relevant for client acceptance. At the same time, and some of you might know working papers longer, but perhaps not the audit template. At the same time, you can also okay, I'm a bit struggling with our new interface. Sorry, I have it switched off here. You can also go back to the document manager. And this is the working papers document manager. You can see it's a Windows folder structure. You can also use that to navigate your engagement file. So it's just what you prefer. Usually people start out with the dashboard. You have the tabs here at the bottom. They start out with the dashboard because it looks easier, looks a little bit friendlier. But then in the document manager, there's much more detail, much more tracking. So at some point, users usually switch to the document manager and become power users. Okay, so that's all for this video, how to create a new engagement file. Let's move on and do some more audit work and import a trial balance.